Okay, Excursion Reflection 3. What is justice? What responsibility do we have towards others? Just wrote about this, so I'm a little bit, don't want to say ahead, because I'm very behind, but I feel the responsibility we have towards others is, of course, the same thing our moms have been saying to us since the day we were born. Treat others the way you want to be treated. And now, that doesn't exactly work nowadays, as we have very differing political sides. So some people want to be treated much differently than the way you want to be treated. So the responsibility we have towards others is, I guess, just be a decent human being at this point in time. But let's look at what is justice. To me, justice is someone getting the correct, I don't want to say punishment, but the correct outcome for their actions. So, like, we look at Frankenstein, and I'm gonna be honest, there's not much justice in there. Best thing that happened in that book, probably just Victor not killing dude. Or not building, I forgot what am I talking about. Not Victor building Eve. He didn't build the next monster. He was like, wait. So, justice and responsibility towards others go hand in hand. I mean, we've talked about this. But when it comes to responsibility to others, there's so many different ways to think about it, because you look at it from like the Frankenstein perspective. It's like he had the responsibility to either never create that monster or raise that monster. It's not even raising, it's already full grown. He's just teaching him how to be a human. And apparently the dude can already read, because he like read books in the back of, like, he like lived in that shed or whatever. He was like reading books in there. Kind of like continuity ever. But like maybe the brain that got put in his body was like, I guess, intelligent enough to read, but also not intelligent enough to see. Like, the thing speaks English, but it never had a problem like enunciating words. Just another reason why I don't like that book. There's like so many continuity errors. If they had just said like, the monster struggled to speak forever and ever and ever, but it's like all within like a 2-week period, the whole book goes down. So, I think the responsibility we have towards others is just, like I said, be a decent human being. I mean, especially, we have no outside contact with any other planet or species that is sentient and as intelligent as us. So we are all each other have. So there shouldn't be war or any of that. Any of the 4 horsemen shouldn't be a thing. Except for like plague, like the hantavirus or whatever just started. Hantavirus. 40% mortality rate, by the way. It's just another thing to throw on. Let's talk about responsibility towards others. The guy on the cruise ship where they were trying to, like, I guess, quarantine hantavirus, because, like, big bug. They're trying to, like, quarantine hantavirus. I mean, it's, like, out now. It's in different countries. Whatever. We're dead. But there's a guy on the cruise ship that was like, we're people too. I just want to go home. But he's infected with hantavirus. And you think, like, what responsibility do we have towards others? Maybe the responsibility to understand that everyone's life is just as complex as yours. And that's a hard one to understand. And that's a hard one for me to even understand when I say it. He was like, I'm a human, I want to go home. There are 8 billion humans on Earth. And with a 40% mortality rate, I'm no mathematician, but that's like bare minimum 2 billion people. That's not even the 40%. I know that's only 25% of. So then we can at least bump it up to like roughly 3 billion people would die if the 40% mortality rate is correct. So he has a responsibility to stay on that boat, and if he has to, throw his life away to save everyone else. And I feel that that's not even a bad way to go out. Sacrificing yourself, you know, it's always going to be hard to be the guy to lay down on the wire and let somebody else crawl over you. But if I could sacrifice myself in like one of those movie type scenarios where like one guy has to go press a button but he's dead if he does it, I'd do it. Because at that point, I mean, I just filmed Excursion Reflection 2, so talking about death. At that point, there is no fear for death. Especially, I was just talking about death is like you're only scared of death because you have regret. If I was to throw my life away to allow others to live, there's no regret. There's so many birds. I'm getting gang stalked by the bourgeoisie. I gotta turn this back on so I can look at the questions and the readings. I'm on the, what is this, the weekly schedule? As much as I like Frankenstein, it's like not that good. But then we get to In the Penal Colony. And this was much better than Frankenstein. Of course, there's always going to be continuity errors when they're not writing an entire book, I guess. But like the responsibility for a fair trial, like there are so many responsibilities that I couldn't even go down and name them all. That I think that's why most people just put it down as be a good person when it comes to like what is our responsibility towards others. And it's not even being a good person. Sometimes you have to be the bad guy to do good. Like you've got a buddy with a terrible drinking problem. You might have to turn around and be an asshole to the guy. But I'd rather be an asshole than have my friend dead, you know? So our responsibility towards others is to understand. Let's see, I'm trying to come up, not like an acronym, but like, you know how they do the one word, or like the 3 one word? Understand is all I can really think. Our responsibility towards others, at the very least, is just attempting to understand what it is they're going through, and just like understanding that their life is just as complex as ours. And I think once people realize that, that's when people start to do better and be better people, and that's where justice will like slowly lose its it's like not its need. Justice will always be a thing, but like there won't be a need for justice if everybody was able to understand everyone's situation. And that's I'm trying to think of the philosophical term, world traveling. I forget the name of the lady who wrote it, but basically she was saying you got to put yourself in other people's shoes, and you can have zero bias. So like Descartes, you've got to break down everything you've ever believed, and you have to look at their cultures with zero bias just as a human being. So like almost like a child, like where you've never known anything and you just need to learn as it's being told to you, as that is like the only truth to you. And I think once you're able to start understanding where people come from without trying to force your own bias onto their situation, that's where the responsibility towards others starts to pay off and actually have meaning. Because you could say, like, oh yeah, I helped that lady cross the road, and that's like a great thing. Like, that's you, like our responsibility is to take care of the elderly, or at least I believe so. As little as they've done for us, especially these boomers, just like taking all the Social Security money, leaving us with none as they take it off our paychecks. But the idea that like, I don't know. I love thinking about a perfect world, but there's never gonna be a perfect world unless there's some sort of, like, hive mind, like, singularity event where they just combine everybody's consciousness into one, like, Evangelion. Oh, dude, my weird-ass neighbor is, like, I'm getting, like, I can see him watching me from, like, the tree line. Dude, I don't know. I can't flip the camera around, but I'm being watched from the tree line. Okay, let's continue to talk about what is justice. Like, when you look at, what's it called? In the penal colony, the commandant tried coming up with a good system, like I'm saying, like I have the idea of a perfect world. He tried coming up with a system of justice and law that would be good for all the people, and then after his death, it fell apart. And I feel like this is a common trope in a lot of movies, and I just can't think of a single one. But I think that dude is like creeping around. I'm really having a hard time speaking while being gang stalked, but I think that once, like, the original creator, and he's the only one that understands it, is dead, it will lose all value and all purpose, just like it did in the penal colony, where as soon as the officer took over, the system and justice and all that just got skewed way to the right. Just so, I mean, back to what I was thinking about, like, the perfect world. If I mean, I could never do it, but, like, hypothetically, if I was to get everybody in NATO and just every country in the world, all their leaders, to listen to my plan, and they all enacted it, they would only be listening to me, though. And you know, there would be maybe a few situations where, like, smaller countries, like, I think Belgium, maybe. Belgium always seems like a cool place. I've been to Belgium, and it is a cool place, but I think once that, because it's not even like empathy at that point. It's like a deeper thing than empathy. Once you're able to do that alongside, like, you know, changing some societal norms, the world would be a better place. But then upon my death, whereas I just been instructing them to do this, and their country would improve. As soon as I died, there would be people who were like, I don't really care to listen to this guy, I'm the president, and they'll stop. But I think, I don't know. I want to believe in the goodness of people, but I think all men might be inherently bad, and it is our responsibility to try our hardest to be good. And I don't mean all men as in biologically male. I mean all men as in mankind. I think everybody is born inherently bad, and through growth and everything, traumatic experiences, death of a family member, you know, your girlfriend cheating on you, whatever, through life experiences and through mostly traumatic events, you're able to grow and understand that responsibility. And I think I think that's where you get the most responsible people, and the people that do truly understand. Like, I don't even want to say empathy, but the people that understand life and how difficult and how cruel it can be is where you'll get the most, the people that are trying to return, they're trying to give back. Because, something bad happens to them, there's the type of people that never want to have anything bad happen to anybody else again. And I wholeheartedly support that. The people who have gone through something bad, and instead of just bottling it up and being an ass or whatever, they take that and they turn it around and they spin it for good, and they try and raise money or start a foundation or change something. And I think that is another responsibility that we do have towards others, is we need to understand that, I'm trying to think of how to word it. Mankind was not destined to be alone. We were not destined to be individuals. We were destined to have companionship. And I can't remember, I don't think it was for your class, I think it was for my philosophy. There's a philosopher that believed that everyone was connected and that everybody needed each other, and that's not true. There are two sides of the spectrum. There's the people that believe that humans are independent and they don't need love, they don't need anything like that. And then there are people that are like, people only need love, people only need connection. And I think it's two sides of the same coin. I think connection is something people need for sanity and to understand what they are and who values them and a lot of other things. And I think the connection to other people allows you to grow easier, grow better, learn from your mistakes, learn from others' mistakes. Being social, or like being in an environment where you do surround yourself with people, and not being independent, and like you do realize that you do need connection as a person. People will look out for you. Like you might be about to do something stupid, and they'll be like, hey, maybe don't do that. And I think that's another responsibility we have towards others, is being the bad guy when you have to be. I think I said this. I think I might have already said this. But being the bad guy when you have to be. And just, it all just boils down to being a good person. And then, there's people are going to be like, well, what's defined as a good person? What the Bible says. There are no morals without the Bible. Trying to think. Who was it? Was it also Kafka that wrote? No way, right? Who wrote Existentialism as a Humanism? Existentialism is a humanism. Oh, this was Sartre. Thought it was Kafka for a second. But in Existentialism is a Humanism... Oh, I lost my train of thought. I'll find it. Oh. Sartre, as an existentialist, there are two types, I guess. There is the ones that believe God exists, and there are the ones that don't. And I just wrote an essay for that class where, as I was writing, I realized I was leaning a little bit more towards the God doesn't exist part. But that was also because I kind of had an outline in my head. I think people can have morals without believing in God. But I think that they don't realize that all morals are derived from God. Or from the Bible. And I think Sartre even argues me saying that when he says, oh, I just had it. He says something about along the lines of, like, if everybody was, like, when you go to do something, think, if everybody was to do this, would it be bad? And if it would be, then, like, you shouldn't do it. But if everybody could do it and nothing would, like, cause, like, a crazy reaction, that it's not that bad. So our responsibility is to keep the people around us in check, to make sure everyone around us feels loved and feels understood and feels meaningful, feels like they have meaning. Like, don't treat people as a tool. Treat them as, like don't treat them as the means to an end. Treat them as the end. And I think once we start to understand that although we're born with free will, we're responsible for ourselves and who we are, and that responsibility on ourselves is a responsibility to the entirety of the human race, that we need to do better, and that we need to be better, and we need to be the person that we would want to be there for us, right? We're going through a hard time. Like, oh, I wish I had somebody who would say this, 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 and this. Like, you always know what you want to hear in your head. I mean, hell, I'm man enough to admit it. I feel like most people think that. But I think in the idea that we owe the responsibility to not just ourselves to be a good person, but to everyone, in understanding that, and if you're able to actually, like, take that to heart. Because there's some people who, like, I mean, you can try, and you can try, and you can try, and they're never going to change. And it's sad. It's sad, especially when it's someone you really care for, and you want to go out of your way and be, and that responsibility you have towards them, and it almost feels like a personal responsibility to reach out and help them and be like, hey, man, like, I want to help you. And then they turn it away, or they're like, bro, what are you talking about? I don't care. And it's just like, we have a responsibility to reach out, but we don't have a responsibility. We don't have a responsibility to care too much, right? If I reach out and I am genuinely so sincere in trying to, I don't know, stop someone from drinking and driving or whatever, and they're like, no, fuck you, I'm just not going to care anymore. I had a responsibility, and, you know, there might be a deeper responsibility. Like, you got to pull him out of that car. But, like, at that point, he also, I mean, we all bear responsibility, and he has a responsibility to his family and to his parents that he will make it home safe. And if he doesn't do that, he broke his promise before I broke mine, or whatever. I just think you got to try your hardest to be a good person, but if someone makes loving and caring for them too hard, you know, I want to say, when someone makes loving or caring for them hard, you want to reach out even more, because, like, that's when it's, they're probably really dealing with something. But also, when they just keep continuing to push you away, I can't just, like, keep going after that. Like, at some point, you have to be like, fuck it, bro, it's your life. So, responsibility towards other boils down to being a good person, doing what's right, loving, caring, being there for your friends, understanding, seeing, and doing all this with zero bias. I mean, not all of it with zero bias. Like, when I'm leaving my friend to die because he's going to go drink and drive, I've got some bias. I've got enough non-caring in me to not care. But I think if you understand what you're supposed to do, it'll just come to you when you're supposed to do it.